Hey guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today is Christmas in July, day 9. If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue, I'm a medical coder. So for the next 25 days of Christmas in July, I am going to be sharing my stories as a brand new medical coder from my very humble beginnings. And I hope you enjoy the series. Today I am talking about the very first time I tutored or mentored a brand new medical coder. So let us begin. All right. So as I progress in my second position, working in a hospital, right? It's about 6 months in, and I am working in the pro-fee side. I'm doing inpatient professional services, and I'm getting more confident because I'd been doing this for a while, and I was learning more and more every day. Well, we had got a new employee, and my boss was being tasked to do other things. So she asked me, she's like, Blue, I really need a hand. Do you mind mentoring the new girl? Because she has like a lot of questions, and right now I just don't have the time in my schedule to help her. So do you think you can help her? And I said, yeah, sure. You know, I'm all about helping. And so she said, okay, great. So she brought her up to my office, and in my office, of course, I have this table where I can do my education meetings, right? And so as she comes in, she's like, hi, I'm the new girl. And I said, well, it's nice to meet you. So I had met her very briefly at a meeting, but it wasn't like we were having a conversation, right? An in-depth conversation with each other. So my boss leaves us, and we're sitting there together. And so I started to ask her questions, just basic questions, because I needed to get a gauge of where she was. I needed to know like how much training she had had, what kind of training had she had, and because she was going to be working in the clinics, you know, I needed to at least know what she kind of knew. And it's always a good idea when you meet somebody brand new, if you're going to be working with somebody, whether it is another coder or it is another provider, right? It's a good idea to kind of like talk to them and sort of see what their level is at, because that way you know, right? And for a provider, it'll tell you whether or not they've been trained before, or whether or not they've had somebody around them that cared enough to educate them, right? And for a coder, it will help you to know, because when you're working together in clinics, or if you're on the same team, at least you know if you need to help them out, you know how much to help them or what they need, right? What their needs are. And so she was talking to me, and I was asking her just basic things just to see, because I knew she was very green. She had had her credential for about a month before she got to us. So not a lot, right? Not a lot to go on. But she had done an online program, and so she didn't have that one-on-one teacher thing like you would if you went to like a school or something, right? And not that if you would go to a school, you'd have that, but anyway, so she's like, I'm just not really sure of myself when it comes to coding. She said, I passed the exam, but she goes, I need help. And so I said, it's okay. I said, I'm here to help. And I said, I am the type of person that will help. I'm happy to help, but I also need you to tell me. If you don't understand something, let me know, because I'm happy to explain it in a different way. I know that we all learn differently. Some people are more visual, and some people are more like they need it written down. She goes, I'm visual. So I said, okay, that's perfect, because that tells me that you are going to be somebody that I'm going to have to do a lot of like showing in the book. And she goes, exactly. So I said, okay. So I knew what clinic that she was going to be in. So I said, okay, when you get done, go ahead and code them out. Go ahead and code out your charts, and we will review them together, because that's the only way I'm going to be able to know. And I said, if you get stuck on something, then just put it to the side, and then we'll go over it together. And so she said, okay, that'll work. So she worked out the her charts, right? And then when we met again, she was like, okay, this is what I got. So as we're going through and we're looking at these, I'm noticing that she's missing a lot of stuff on the E&M levels. She wasn't hitting them where they were supposed to be. So I said, okay, she's getting stuck on E&M. I said, that's all right. We can work this out. And I said, so, and the other thing was the detail on some of the combination codes that she was getting stuck on. And I said, okay, these are things I can work with. So as we're going through and I'm explaining to her about the E&M levels, and I'm telling her, okay, at this point, we're going to look at the tool. So we have the evaluation and management tool. And I'm actually going through with her on the chart, and we're pointing out all of the history elements, all the review of system elements, all of the physical exam elements, and then the assessment and plan, and what are they doing for this patient. So as I'm going through and we're checking them off on this tool together, she's like, this makes so much more sense now. And so I said, okay, good. And so she goes, but how do you know, like on the review of systems, how do you know that this is actually a point that you can get? Is there a list? So we went to EM University, and I showed her the tip sheet that they have there for like all of the elements and all of the bullets written down. And so she's like, oh, okay. So she's like, well, this makes much more sense. So I said, good. I'm glad it does, because now we have something more to work with. But it was just that she was getting stuck on evaluation and management in that part. But it was just about learning the different bullets. And so for her, seeing it on the sheet worked out was like, okay, that's where it was registering, because again, she's a visual learner. So when it came to the combination codes, I said that the combination codes is something that you're going to have to learn eventually, because and it's going to take some practice, because not everything is going to be a combination code, especially when you see it together. I said, but in the instance of hypertension and chronic kidney disease, oh yeah, you got to put those together. Because I was telling her about Faye Brown, because at the time it was Faye Brown, right? And so I'm showing her in the Faye Brown book how that goes together. So she goes, oh, and she goes, now I understand. So I said, yes. And so breaking all of that down for her, she was like, I get it. She goes, why does it seem like it's so hard? I go, when you are brand new and you're starting out and you're trying to get this stuff, yes, it's going to seem a little hard. But I said, after a while, you'll be able to get it. And I said, I think you're going to be able to get it. I said, for the most part, you're doing really good. The only thing that I noticed was evaluation and management. She goes, I was getting stuck on that. And I was like, yes. But with the combination codes, I said, that's just going to come with time and experience. And you're always going to look for something that either it's going to be in the book on the notes. It'll tell you, to use an additional code for. And she was using another book. And so that was also not helping her. And so I was telling her about the Optum 360 coding book, because even back then, that's what I was using. So when I was showing it to her, she was like, oh, okay. She goes, so there is a difference in these books. I said, yes, there's a huge difference in the books. So she's like, all right. She goes, I get it now. So I said, good. And so we're going through, and she's like, thank you for being patient enough to help me with these, because she goes, she goes, I feel like when I ask questions, I don't know how to ask. And I said, and that is a common thing with people. I said, because even I go through that, but I wanted her to feel comfortable in the fact that I wanted her to feel like she could ask me questions. Because when there's nothing worse than when you're training with somebody and they say, well, do you understand? And they're not really conveying that they care if you understand or not, right? And so I wanted her to know that I did care. I did care if she understood, and so I wanted to make sure that she got all the details, all the status codes that she needed to pick up from these encounters. And she did. She started to recognize those status codes. And so I was like, good. We're going on the right track then. So the next day, she did more charts, and we reviewed them again. And I was still getting her to kind of understand better on the E&M stuff. And she goes, I still don't know, like, how do you know? And I said, well, I read the whole E&M book when I was in school. And she goes, you did? She goes, I just did like what they just told me to do. And I said, no. I said, for me, that's the only way that I was going to be able to understand is if I read the whole thing. She goes, I don't have the attention span to read the whole thing. And I said, but that was how I learned it. And I said, you'll learn it too. And then she goes, I feel like I'm getting it better than I did yesterday. And I said, well, good, figuratively, she meant yesterday. And so I said, okay. And so by the time the end of the week came, and my boss, Jessica, she was like, how's it going? And I said, she's doing much better. And then, so she goes, okay. So she goes, today I'm going to look over what she's doing. And then, if, we need to spend more time with her. She said, otherwise, I'll put her in the clinic. So that way she can go ahead and start going. She goes, because I think she's got to be doing good, right? And I said, well, I hope so. So we ended up letting her do her thing with coding and seeing, if she was getting it or not. And so when Jessica checked it out, she was like, she's doing a lot better than she was. And then she goes, whatever you told her, it worked. And I said, well, I would hope so. Because I said, all it was just the evaluation and management part. She goes, yeah, I noticed when I was looking at the charts in the beginning that she wasn't quite getting that. I said, when you're coming out of a program. And then she goes, yeah. And she goes, that's probably what it was. And then she goes, well, good. Now we can put her in the clinic. So they put her in the clinic. So everything worked out. And at the end, she was like, thank you so much for helping me. She said, because I wouldn't have known all of this stuff. And I told her, I said, whenever you're trying to learn something, you just have to be patient enough to listen, and you have to be patient enough with yourself, because that's the worst part, is when you get impatient with you. She goes, I just want to not be the new person anymore. And I said, I get it, but I said, you're new, but you'll be a veteran soon. So she started laughing. She said, yeah. And funny enough, years later, right after I had left this facility, years later, she actually came here to this facility, and she worked here for a time. So it was good to see her again. It was nice to get that reunion, right? And when she came here, and she's like, well, Blue, I don't know where to go, and can you show me the way? Can you show me, because I'm supposed to meet. And she was actually meeting with my boss, right? And she was meeting with a panel of people who were going to interview the new coder. And so I said, yeah, sure. And so I brought her up to meet everybody. And my boss was looking at me like, what are you doing here? And I said, hi, everybody. And I introduced her to everybody. And so she had actually told them too that I had been the one to train her. And she got the job. So she told everybody, we were talking in a meeting, and she was saying that that we had known each other from before, and that I had actually trained her. So it was nice. It's nice to be remembered in a positive way. But it's really a small world, right? How things come full circle, and you never know who you're gonna have to meet again, or who you're gonna have to see again. So I was glad to help her. I was glad that she learned. And I was glad that she was able to progress, and she became a stronger coder because of it. So, that's always a good thing. But anyway, that's my story for today. So I hope you all have enjoyed it. Always know that whoever you are training, if you're ever going to be in this position to do training, you have a potential to have an impact on that person's life. And however you treat them, and however you guide them, or you inspire them, or whatever, it does a lot, and it lasts not just for that moment, but it can last for years. Okay, so always consider that. And that's why I always have the highest respect for teachers, because teachers don't know. I think some teachers just don't understand their impact on people's lives forever. And it's the same thing for medical coding. When you are mentoring somebody brand new, whether they are with you for a day or a week, you have the potential to impact them, and their ability to learn, and the secrets that right? And you pass those on to the next person. You never know what you can do in a positive way for somebody because of that. So I'm going to wrap this one up. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see y'all for tomorrow's episode. Bye.